My boyfriend 22M cheated on me 18F with my best friend 19F while I was lying next to them. Hey everyone, something really upsetting happened to me yesterday, and I'm feeling quite overwhelmed. I had been in a relationship with my boyfriend for almost 3 years, and I also had a friend whom I had known for nearly 2 years. Yesterday, I decided to go out for a drink with my girlfriend to spend a nice evening together. While we were hanging out, my boyfriend texted and asked if he could join us. Both my girlfriend and I agreed, and he came over, and we all had a good time. Later on, we headed back to my friend's studio apartment. Along the way, I opened up about some personal insecurities, like feeling foolish at times because of my hair color and expressing my discomfort with the idea of threesomes, as it made me feel gross and uncomfortable. Once we arrived at the apartment, we watched a series together. I must have fallen asleep at some point, and when I woke up, I noticed my girlfriend was continuously rubbing my boyfriend's belly. I immediately expressed my discomfort to my boyfriend, but I eventually fell back asleep. My girlfriend was also getting ready for bed, and I noticed she had changed into a silk kimono, which was unusual since she had been wearing an oversized t-shirt and pants earlier, a red flag for me. I was quite exhausted, so I drifted off to sleep again. Suddenly, I woke up, sensing movement on the bed and hearing heavy breathing. I was paralyzed, realizing what was happening. I went to the bathroom, trying to gather my thoughts and figure out what to do next. Eventually, I made the decision to pack my things and leave. While I was packing, my boyfriend went to the bathroom, and I confronted my friend, calling her a disrespectful person. She responded with a feeble apology, but it didn't mean much to me. My boyfriend entered the room, and I ended our relationship on the spot. I swiftly left, with my belongings in tow. He followed me, pleading to take me home and ensure my safety, but I refused. As I walked home, he continued chasing after me, expressing how stupid he had been and how he never wanted to lose me. It was the first time I saw him cry, but by that point, I couldn't bring myself to care. I'm at a loss for what to do now. I see my friend regularly at school since she's in my class, and I don't know how to handle the situation. I am consumed with anger and confusion. Our wife cheated in front of our son. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I are both 26 years old, and we have a 5-year-old son and a 10-month-old girl together. I work as one of the managers at an IT company. While she works as a receptionist at a hospital, she hasn't been working much due to pregnancy and maternity leave. I'm quite an outgoing person, whereas she is quite introverted and only really enjoys spending time with close family members, her family plus me and the children, and friends she's known since childhood. On Saturday, July 1st, 2023, an ex-employee from my place of work, age 23, came to my house thinking I would be around because he knows I don't work on Saturdays. He wanted to give me important documents that I had left at his house the previous day when we were discussing work-related matters. My wife opened the door and didn't know who he was, so he explained to himself that he works for me, and then she allowed him inside and offered him coffee while he waited for me. I was at my parents' house 5 miles away. This is what happened next, according to this ex-employee, as best I can remember him saying over the phone 2 days ago. Employee: do you know about me and your wife? Me: what do you mean? Explain. Employee: remember that day last month when you weren't home, and I came to drop off documents and was sorry because I should have called you beforehand? Me: yes, so what? Employee: after your wife invited me in and offered to make coffee, we began to talk and quickly bonded over literature. She was very friendly, and I know what I'm about to tell you is very wrong of me to do, but we started kissing, and your son, who came into the living room at that moment, then asked who I was, and she told him not to worry, that he should just go watch TV. We then went upstairs and, slept together. Me: are you joking? Because if you're just trying to cause trouble, don't. Employee: no, it's not a lie. I just thought I would tell you because that little boy saw his mother with someone else, and years down the line, if you ever did find out, I wouldn't want you to think that I scared a little boy without caring. Remember that your wife is the married one, not me. I didn't force her. Me: I don't believe you at all. Employee: that is why I resigned July 7th, because I didn't know whether you knew or not and would rather resign than have a sacking on my record. Me: I'll ask her, and if true, I'll deal with you appropriately. Employee: okay, but like I said, I didn't force her, nor did I do anything illegal. You won't hear from me again. Sorry. I was livid with anger and hurt at the same time. This is an employee who only started working for me in May, and I'm certain she never even knew he existed up until that day. I asked her, who denied it at first, but then owned up to what happened after she realized the severity of the situation, including the employee quitting. She said she was very sorry and didn't know what came over her. I then said, apparently, our son saw you, and then she began crying. I said to her that I was going to stay with my parents for a few days while I decided what to do. My parents and even her family members are very supportive of me and do not condone what she did. I've seen my son on FaceTime and my baby daughter too, and I told them that I would be with them soon. I've decided that there is no coming back from this and will definitely get a divorce from my wife, but the only issues are custody and finances. I don't want to be like the many men who get divorced due to the fault of their wives only to lose the house and only see the kids on the weekends. How do I go about this to ensure I don't lose the house and that I see my kids equally, if not more than her? I live in England, BTW. A cheating wife gets caught with her boss after 2 years of infidelity. So, I, 39M, just caught my wife, 38F, of 14 years, together 17 years, cheating on me with her district manager of Aramark Refreshments for about 2 years now. Before I get into details, there is a backstory to all of this. I want you all to get a full picture and decide if she was entitled to cheat or if I just paid off a debt I owed. In 2012, I took my wife to get her tonsils removed at the hospital. They gave me her belongings, as she couldn't take them inside the surgery room. Her phone kept buzzing. I took it upon myself to see who was blowing her up, and I read tons of inappropriate emails from another man at work. She was reading 50 Shades of Grey at the time and was referring to the man as her Christian Grey, something she would call me. I was pissed and wanted answers, but unfortunately, she couldn't talk after surgery, so on the drive home, I handed her a piece of paper with a pen to answer all the questions I had, and she wrote. It was nothing but flirting. I grabbed my 2-year-old and briefcase of clothes and went from CA to AZ on a mini weekend getaway with my support team, my best friend and his wife, to stay away from her for a while. Once back, she informed me that she had deleted her email, and it wouldn't happen again. Fast forward a few years, and I just could never get over the fact that she would betray me the way she did. I wanted to get even and felt that it was the only way to move forward from it. I met a client who showed me some attention. We started texting, and while my wife would go out with her friends and party, I would secretly leave my son with my mom and go see this woman. We had an affair and eventually fell in love with this other woman. After about 9 months, my affair partner tells me she's pregnant. The first thing that came to mind was playing Usher's confession song and actually confessing to my wife, which I did. She took it pretty well, as she told me she had an idea, and that God was preparing her for that moment. I told her that I wanted a divorce and would like to start a new life with this other woman. She told me that we can work things out, to go to church more and get therapy from the pastor, and all should be great. How could I say no to that? I had to break the news to the pregnant AP, who was under the impression that we were going to start a new life together. But the bad news is that we weren't. Fast forward a few months, and I find out my wife is now pregnant. 3 months apart from AP. She wanted to feel more secured over the other woman, so she basically forced us to have another child together. It's December 2014, and I went from having 1 kid to having 3 kids in a blink of an eye. It's been crazy, but I'm there for all my kids. Now let's jump over to the present time. My wife and I have had our fair share of bumps on the road, but I truly love the way we are raising our beautiful children. I have come a long way and have been faithful and committed to rebuilding our relationship. I go out of town for work from time to time, as does she. I just found out that for the last 2 years, she's been having this affair with her boss. Every happy hour event after work, every time she spent doing overtime, every trip to San Diego or Valentine's Day in Portland. He was there keeping her warm in a hotel room. Here's how I found out. She went for drinks after work, and I asked, "What time do you plan on being home?" She tells me it's 9 p.m. 9 p.m. comes around, and she's nowhere in sight. I call her, and nothing happens. I got a text with a picture of her girl coworker, and it informs me that she's just grabbing a few more drinks before heading out. I found it so weird that she could text me but couldn't give me a call. I zoom into the picture of a napkin that was on the table and see where she's at. I drive 45 minutes from home to look for her, and there she is, at the bar with her boss with his arms around her. I walked up, and they were both shocked to see me. She was quick to say, "Okay, bye." I'm like, "Bye, but I just got here. Did I interrupt something?" She proceeds to tell me she's closed up her tab and she's leaving. I stay with her boss. The boss is drunk at this point, and he's talking to me about his wife. He tells me that she doesn't pay any attention to him or how they do whatever they want. This is the first time I've met this guy, and he's getting personal. He asks me if I've ever caught my wife cheating, and I proceed to let him know that I haven't, but if I do, it wouldn't be a pretty sight. He orders another drink, and I see my wife calling him on his phone multiple times. I found that very odd. In the middle of his drink, he gets up and leaves for what I thought was the bathroom, but he actually leaves the bar. I took off home and have tons of questions for my wife. Her response was, "I'm sorry, I should have told you he was with us as well. I've never been the jealous type, and a friend told me to check my phone records." OMG. My heart dropped when I found out she's been talking to him Monday through Friday after work for 15 to 30 minutes at a time. I confronted her with all the phone bills extending to 2 years ago, and she informed me that after work she has end-of-day reporting to do, and he needs those numbers to report to his boss. It was such a good lie. Keep in mind she's not a salary and clocks in and out, so from HR's point of view, reporting numbers after clocking out would be considered illegal. I needed proof of their conversations, but how? I decided to record their conversations. I'm not going to mention how I did it, but once I heard what was said, my heart broke into a million pieces. She had conversations with her own cousin, talking about how much he brings excitement to her life, and it's not only the sex but how funny and goofy he is. She talked about how dumb I was to believe the end-of-day calls were real. She said how they would have to lay low for a while, and where there's a will, there's a way. And then there's the conversation between the two of them, where they talk about how much they love one another and how they make each other feel. Straight caught. I knew I was furious, but didn't know what to do. Do I go to their HR? My wife just got a promotion. Should I tell them it's because she's ducking her boss? I did the only thing I could think of. I contacted his wife. I did a ton of research with some help, of course, from a good buddy who loves drama. He contacted his wife on LinkedIn and waited for her to call. She did, and I told her everything I knew. We put dates together, and they've been having a blast for years now while we were both being played for fools. We made a four-way call, but they denied it all, even after the recordings. They both finally came clean. Now I have to ask myself, do I stay for the kids or leave her because my debts from my wrongdoings have been paid? She's begging for me back, but I've moved out and picked up the kids to take them to school every morning. She still works under him and swears it won't happen again, but how can I trust that after 2 years of loving another man, she let him into her heart and pants? Is this my chance to leave her and start a fresh new life? Or do I stick around to make sure my kids grow up with an undivided family? Is there hope for this toxic, unhealthy marriage? Should I get the district manager fired for his wrongdoing in all of this? What should I do next? I know 2 wrongs do not make a right. I'm here for advice if anyone has successfully kept their family together for the sake of their children.